feel like we're living in the last years where there's a hole in the matrix, where there's any degree of social mobility. I think we're gonna end up back at feudalism. There's still a degree of social mobility where if you're intelligent and you're perspicacious and you're indefatigable and you work hard and you manage to find a gap and you really dedicate yourself and you try your best, you can make enough money to get out. In 20 years, the rich are gonna be rich and the poor are gonna be poor, and it's done. It is done. Because the average price of a house is going to just continue to skyrocket. The wages are not going to follow it. You're never going to own any assets. The assets are going to be owned by all the rich people. You're going to be paying us rent. It's over. And this is another thing I find interesting, because people come to me often. The question I get asked most is, Andrew, I lack motivation. You have 10 years left to save your bloodline from eternal slavery, and you lack motivation? You are born to lose, sir. You are a loser. All of your ancestors who fought saber-toothed tigers should have just laid down and died, because they fought their best for you to be born so you could jack off to Pornhub during the last few years where you stand a chance to save your last name from eternal serfdom. You are a dickhead, and you deserve to be poor. The last thing you should lack in the mess of the world today is motivation, because you are running out of time. And I'm telling you, as a rich man who made it out, I can see the gap is closing. I can see it. So you should certainly see it. I'm above in the clouds, looking down on the hole closing in. You're down below, looking up, watching it close, and you lack motivation to build a ladder. Maybe government will save me. Maybe if I vote for the liberals, they'll give me money. Slave minds, clowns, fools. The last thing you should lack in the world today is motivation, because truly people are running out of time. Bro, what's really scary is this. 37, I grew up on a council estate. I was broke for most of my life. I made all my money myself. And even I have disdain for the poor. Because I look at them and go, you didn't try at all. I did it. With all of the pain I went through and all the problems I had, while also fighting and becoming a kickboxing world champion, I still managed to do it. You started at a higher bracket than me. You started from a middle income home. Your dad you had food. I didn't have food and I was a world champion. How did you fail so massively? And I look at them and just think of them as, you're an idiot. And if I feel that, imagine how the elites look at us. Imagine you're born into a lineage, a bloodline that have been in charge of the banks forever. Imagine how you view them. You think you give a shit whether they live or die? I'm talking about someone who's only been rich for 10 years. And when someone comes and complains to me about being broke, I'm like, oh, you're a dummy, you didn't try. So imagine you were born filthy rich and your family's always been rich. And you're told about how your family's always controlled everything. You're smart. Imagine how much disdain the elites truly have for the common man. And I'm talking as a common man who made a little bit of money. Then you start to understand how this world's really working. Because they don't give a shit about the common man. If you say to the elites, if you pour third worlders into this nation, you will make 3% more per year. However, the common man will have to deal with crime, rape, murder, drugs, human trafficking. He'll sit there and go, I don't care about 3%. Okay. Why would he care? Then you have a community where the only people who can protect it left are the men. The men who care about their daughters, care about their wives. But those men have to be masculine men, brave men. They're under assault. We discussed that for the last 2 hours. So now they're afraid. But it's scary when you start to understand how all these things really work. And I don't think the average man at home understands this. And if you start to understand it all, the last thing you will lack is motivation. How can you lack motivation? How can an antelope in the jaws of a tiger say, I lack motivation? I'm tired. I'm horny. I want to jerk off. Bro, they're ripping out your throat in real time. You're bleeding out. Fight back. It's kind of like, you probably have this problem as well. I don't know if you have this problem. Do you ever wake up and think, I don't need any more money, but there's fuck all else to do?
Yeah, every day.
Yeah, so you just end up making millions.
But what's better than making something out of nothing? Financial alchemy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I wake up and go, let me do the math. If I never worked again, I could spend $422,000 a day for the rest of my life. I have all the cars. Do I need more money? No. let me go have a coffee. Let me try and chill out today. And within 22 minutes, I'm back on my laptop working. There's nothing else to do. There's nothing else to do. And I can't stop myself working as a person who doesn't need money. And then there's people with no money who don't work. It blows my mind, which is why the winners are winners and the losers are losers. Losers do a little bit of work and rest. Winners work as hard as possible and worry they're not working hard enough. It's just a separation of personality types. And it's almost like you can't save these people. You're a loser. You are a loser. If you do not win, you lose. What do you call someone who loses? A loser. That is an underused word. Loser. Another thing, and then they say, this is what's another thing that's amazing to me about motivation. I don't feel motivated. Newsflash, neither do I sometimes. You're not gonna always feel like doing it. You have to do it anyway because it's your duty to do it because you don't want to be a fucking loser. That's the whole point. If you felt like doing it all the time, then there would be no magic to it. The magic is that you do it regardless of how you feel. That's the whole point of it all. What do you mean you need motivation? You don't need motivation. You have a duty to not be a loser anymore because the hole in the sky is closing. And then they'll end up voting for some ridiculous party which promises them they won't be a loser anymore. And that party will hate people like me. And they'll try and put me in jail. That's what's gonna happen. That's the world we currently live in. The losers party. Losers love company. They do. They vote for it. Losers love company. There are certain political parties and movements out there that convince you that being a loser is okay. And then you feel better. And you also get to blame others for your loserdom. And you feel great. You don't have to take any personal responsibility. I'm not a loser because of me. I'm a loser because they did it or this happened. So they're attractive to losers. And then we end up in the situation we're currently in.